Welcome to Sacred Stories, a sacred space where the beautiful divine voices of today are shared. I am your host, Reverend Patricia Brooks, and together, with the help of our incredible and courageous guests, we are going on a powerful journey, a sacred journey, into our shared consciousness. Today, I'm excited and honored because we are speaking with Beverly Gopp, or Aunt B, from Aunt B's Botanicals. I'm going to let Aunt B tell you all about herself, and so I'm going to just say, welcome, Aunt B, to Sacred Stories.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I said I'm excited and honored to have you, and that's absolutely true. We met just a couple weeks ago, and I have to say that you know that I was completely taken with you, with your Botanicals line, with the entire the brand, everything that you've created, I believe is just wonderful.
Oh, thank you, Patricia. Gosh, it makes me feel so good and warm and fuzzy.
Warm and fuzzy is good. So let's tell the listeners. Can you tell our listeners who Aunt B is?
Sure. So Aunt B is me, and I'm Beverly with 4 E's, and so when my niece started calling me Aunt B, I was like, sold, 1 E, I'm firing the other 3. So I became Aunt B, and so when I created the skincare line, it became Aunt B Botanicals, and all of the product names are Be This, Be That, which is positive messaging like be amazing, be fearless, be courageous, etc.
It's one of the things that I love about your line. But this line you've just recently created within the last few years, correct? And there's
yes.
Yeah, there's Aunt B before the botanical line also.
Yes, so before there was an Aunt B, there was Coach B. I'm actually a life coach. And I'm sure we all remember The Secret. So when did that come out? Maybe 2006, 2005, something like that. And that's really where my transformation started.
Mm. And one of the things that I do love the most is that you were able to take part of your personal, as you call it, transformation, or I think of it as a journey, and you were able to be able to turn it into something that can be of help for others.
Mm. Yeah, that was really the whole goal, not only with coaching, but then also with the botanical line. It's funny because when I was in the mortgage industry for almost 30 years, and really a very negative and harsh industry. I was a loan underwriter. And as an underwriter, you're always circling things and correcting things and telling people everything they've done wrong. And the house that people want is not the house that they qualify for. You know what I mean? So it was such a negative industry. So watching The Secret and really becoming aware of our language and negativity, I started using a rubber band around my wrist and snapping it with every negative thought and negative word. And that's really where the journey started for me and how I got to become an author of 2 gratitude books and became a motivational speaker, etc. It all started with that rubber band and The Secret.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So even right now, someone could be listening to us somewhere in the world because we stream around the world, and there's something, which would be amazing that they could pick up from the wisdom that you're sharing that may make a difference to them. And that's why we do Sacred Stories. That's the work we do, and that's the reason we do it. So I appreciate you sharing that. So from this journey that started from The Secret in 2005, 2006, it has progressed, though, into Aunt B's Botanicals, which you call Handcrafted Skincare for Positive Healing. And I know it's awesome. I bought the eye cream, just so everybody knows. I'm 54. Under my eyes is my problem area. I've been using your eye cream, and I absolutely love it. On a personal side note, but your sacred story, this is Sacred Stories, and your sacred stories and the creation of Aunt B Botanicals really kind of go hand in hand. So I'm going to ask you if you could share that part of your journey with us.
Yes, absolutely. So like I said, I was a life coach, and oftentimes when people come into my booth, when I'm, at a farmer's market at an event, I find myself doing a lot of coaching because we're so, especially as women, we're so critical of ourselves. So we're concentrating on the this or the that, the, under eye bags and dark circles, or the acne or the age spots. We're picking on all the flaws. And we feel like somehow our face and our body identifies us instead of our heart and our soul and where our passion lies. So I often do a little bit of life coaching in the booth to, number one, change the vocabulary and the verbiage, and also to explain to them, you are in control of what your thoughts are. So if you can put something on every day that says, be rejuvenated, be amazing, be courageous, be fearless, be beautiful, and you see that, will those words help and encourage you to feel that way? Because once you get rid of the flaw, which I can help you with, then will you be able to come from your heart and your source and follow your passion? That's the whole goal.
And of course, I mentioned my under my eyes, right? So I completely, I went completely to where is an obvious place to go, right? So it underscores what you're saying to be how true, because in all of the things that I do and all of the things that I try to bring, I'm standing here saying, oh, and I have a problem area under my eyes, right? That's one of my focuses. So yeah, so that's a real kind of, little tap on my shoulder to say, you want to reframe maybe the way that I want to reframe maybe the way that I'm showing up.
Yes, because what you project, you reflect. It's the law of attraction. So yes, focus on those beautiful eyes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, there's more to lead you from life coaching to botanicals, though. That's still kind of a big jump, right? In addition to people maybe their outward beauty. Talk about that a little bit, please.
So as a life coach, right before, maybe during, I can't remember the exact years, but before there was an Aunt Bee Botanicals, I was going through foreclosure. So this was after the downfall of the whole mortgage, and financial world in 2007. And we started having trouble and not able to make our mortgage payment. And I would wake up in that fear at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd write out gratitude statements. And so the gratitude statements, I compiled them all, wrote a book, and published it and became a motivational speaker. And it was doing that and speaking and doing markets that a friend of mine would share a booth with me. And she was already making skincare, and she kept saying, you want to do this too. And I'm like, no, I want to be a motivational speaker and a life coach, and I'm going to publish books and, all of this. And I would end up coaching all of her clients as they would come into the booth to buy her beauty products. And so eventually I finally bought my first aromatherapy book, and I made my first product, which was an acne balm. And I couldn't believe that pimples, because even though I'm 57, I still break out occasionally, just like everybody else. But my pimples flattened overnight, and they weren't red and dry and flaky. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I have something. And so that's really where the journey started, is making my first product, buying some aromatherapy books, and testing them out on all my friends and family, having my plethora of guinea pigs. And then I started creating the Aunt Bee Botanicals line.
I love that you mentioned waking up at 3 in the morning, kind of with your fears and doubts. I think that anybody who is actually on a journey of sorts, or really engaged in their life to a point of trying to make positive improvements forward. Many of the spiritual seekers, I think we can all relate to that 3 a.m. wake-up call, going, what the hell am I doing? How am I going to do this? How am I going to make next month's mortgage or rent? Or was it the right thing that I left my career? Or a million different questions that can go through our head. And when it's 3 a.m. in the morning and we're all by ourselves and it's dark, it feels like we are the only one in the world that is feeling that, right? Right?
Oh,
I know
for
I
sure.
do.
Yes, absolutely.
I still get 3 a.m. wake-up calls a lot less frequently than I used to get them. You know, I mean, because I just have, as I go on, continue my journey, the knowing and that I'm doing what I have come to do is, is just deeper and deeper and deeper. But I think if anyone ever said they didn't get a 3 a.m. wake-up call, I don't know how, maybe honest that would be.
Right.
For the most part, for most of us. So I appreciate you saying that. And I think that what that does. And so listeners, I think it's really important. If you're getting those 3 a.m. wake-up calls, the next time that you get that, remember me, remember Aunt B, remember that there's people around the world who are also doing that. So B, you mentioned when you were getting the wake-up call and the fear and the doubts were starting to come in, you started writing gratitude statements?
Yes, because I had to change those thoughts around. Because really, we all know that fear is not real, right? It's just our imagination at its worst, making up the worst case scenario and creating such drama. And so I had to break that down to find the positivity and to find out what is real, what is really real about this fear. And so, taking something like, okay, we could possibly lose our house. Where are we going to live? What's going to happen with my husband's shop and the dogs? And, it just starts steamrolling. And I would find the gratitude in each one of those. You know what I mean? I am grateful that we have the ability to have a shop on our property. I am grateful that my dogs are sleeping here beside my bed right this moment, and we are all breathing and loving each other. So I would take that projection of what that fear can bring and look at what is actually happening now that is real. And oftentimes, as I would do this, it would give me ideas of what I could do to help the situation by just concentrating on the gratitude within it.
That is so incredibly powerful and such an incredible help, because I often think when I'm in the fear and the doubt, let's say during the daytime after I begin to spiral, I'm like, okay, wait a second, what's the worst that could happen, right? And then what could I do if that happens, right? So I kind of go down that road and then reframe and recenter. But when it's 3 a.m. and you just wake up, I don't think to do that. I just stew in the fear and the doubt for a while. So that's a really beautiful, I wrote that down, that's a really beautiful process that I know that I will start to do.
Yeah, of course, I was doing the same thing, and the key was actually turning on the light and grabbing a pen. Because otherwise
Right.
You'll sit there forever. It's kind of like when you have to go to the bathroom at 3 a.m. and you don't want to get up and you think you can go back to sleep and forget about it, but it just sits there nagging at you, and now 20 minutes has passed and you could have gotten up and gone to the bathroom and be asleep by now.
Right. Absolutely.
Same principle.
Without a doubt. And I know everyone can relate to that also. No, that's actually really, really powerful. So thank you for sharing that. I will absolutely do that. And I encourage everyone who's listening to also try that. Because you know what I realize is that the fear that you talk about, and many of us that are on our spiritual journeys or just in life, the fear is always the fear of the unknown to a very great degree. And it's an unknown because it's just kind of out there, and we don't really frame it or define it to something we can actually work with. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Fear is what? False evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
And it's so much of what our environment and our family and their family has taught them. So it's really not even your story, but possibly someone else's story and what their words have, been running through your head.
Absolutely. And when we can take pen to paper and we can start actually putting it in statements, really defining it, then it becomes less fearful because it's not so abstract. It's more tangible. And when something's tangible, then we can have action steps or at least action thoughts around it. Right?
Exactly.
So on so many levels. So instead of just laying there and trying to think, what am I grateful for? Right? Turn on the light, pick up a pen,
Mm-hmm.
and do what Aunt B says.
You
Start
have
writing,
to.
take the projected
Because in your
fear.
head, you'll argue. Because the negative voice is so much stronger than the positive voice. 90% of our thoughts are negative. Yeah.
Right. So take the negative fear, write that down, and then write gratitude statements about it to reframe it. And then from there, ideas will come. That's beautiful.
Yes.
Awesome. And then I want to circle back to Aunt B Botanicals though, because the other thing is, listeners, if you didn't pick up on it, I want to talk about it. Aunt B was talking about, okay, I think I'll start my own skincare line. And you bought some books and you started creating formulas and you have a skincare line. Who does that? I would never think in a million years I could do a skincare line. Truly,
I didn't think I was going to do a skincare line. It just kind of morphed into this. I have almost 200 products now. And I heal, there's so much healing for so many different areas, eczema and rosacea and psoriasis and all these other things. Who knew?
Okay, so let's circle back, though, to the starting of the Aunt B's Botanicals, because the courage and the confidence to start your own skincare botanicals line is incredible. I would never think to start a skincare line.
That's funny. So it didn't start as a whole skincare line. I just started with one product, and then, like I said, it kind of morphed into all these other products. But really, if I'm honest, there was still so much fear in those first couple of years. So even going through this transformation and understanding positive and negative words and fear and gratitude, still, when somebody would call, I was convinced that they were calling to tell me I had, melted their face off or caused some kind of, horrible lesion, or they're having a bad reaction. And that was never the case. But that's still, that's the fear that we live with, right? And so you have to take something like that and go, what's real? What's really happening? Who's complaining about this product? Nobody. Who's benefiting? Everybody. But it's just funny what the mind does.
It's incredible what the mind does. But the confidence, let's go to the confidence and the courage for a second, because you went from literally, underwriting mortgages into your coaching, into the beginning of your transformation through the, watching of The Secret and reading of The Secret. However, that's still an incredible leap to take your life and go in a completely different direction. And the reason I'm really want to stay on this point for another moment is because that's happening to a lot of people today that are on their spiritual journey. They're waking up, in a sense, to many of their abilities or gifts, or they're coming on stronger than they had before, or the burning in their soul is happening for them to do something different. And it's very scary. So to have someone such as yourself go through that, and something as dramatic as creating actual skincare products, beyond coaching and all of what that entailed, that's huge, Aunt B.
Thank you. Well, I don't know. I've always been a confident, assertive, boisterous personality. Like when I'm doing an event or I'm at a farmer's market, instead of just sitting in the back of the booth and waiting for people to come to me, I'm out there asking people if they want to slather and talking to them about sea buckthorn. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm in charge of my destiny. And so in order to be the driver, then I've got to take control of that. So I was 53 when I started this. Same age as Louise Hay, by the way, when she wrote her first book. So I think, having that older, wiser, midlife time period when maybe the kids are gone and you have those moments to kind of reflect and say to yourself, what do I want to do? What does make my heart happy? And I know for me, it was all about service. How can I serve others and kind of help them get out of their own way?
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up your age, and I'm so glad that you brought up Louise Hay's age, because just to share a brief part about my story, I mean, I made a big shift at 50. into my spiritual career, and I left my career, and there's a whole story that goes with that. But one of the things that I kept thinking in my head is, I'm 50 years old. If I can't do what makes my heart sing at 50, when the heck am I supposed to be doing it? I guess I could wait till I'm 70, which is great. If you're 70 and you want to do something your heart sings, I say go for it. But when are we old enough, right, to say,
right.
and I say it's 20. I say it's 20, it's 30, it's 40, it's every age. When are we old enough to say, I'm in charge of my own destiny, and this is my life? Regardless, doesn't mean that you walk away from responsibilities. I have 2 daughters in college. Doesn't mean that you just, the heck with everybody else, I'm doing what I want. There's, I believe, really beautiful, responsible ways to honor ourselves and while we're being, without disregarding others, but to say, I'm going to do it now. If not now, when?
Yes, absolutely. And I think for so many people, not only is it the confidence and the self-talk that holds them back, but it's also finances. And I was no different. Remember, I was just coming out of foreclosure, so I didn't have a pot to pee in, as they say. And going back to the secret and the law of attraction, what you put out there, what you ask for, you create affirmations, and I was able to get financing. So that same friend who I shared a booth with, she set me up, and I would pay her in increments that I could afford, and she'd give me part of her supplies to help set me up. So there's always something out there. You just have to be creative to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I really do believe that when we want to move into alignment with our soul, that the support is there. I mean, I've been, building since I left my career, but especially in the very early days, I lived on my savings in my 401k. And people say, well, how can you do that? That's your retirement money. And I said, well, I don't plan on ever retiring, because I plan on doing what makes my heart sing. So I'm going to do this forever. And maybe this is what that is for. And that doesn't mean it wasn't really scary, and it's still scary. But I was making a very conscious choice. And to go back to the gratitude you were talking about before, that's how I would frame that. I'm grateful that I have this money in order to be able to draw out and pay all these fees and penalties and taxes to the U.S. government. I'm grateful I have it in order to be able to continue my work.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Let's go back to the Botanicals, because there's such an amazing line. What I love about them so much are the positive affirmative statements that come with each one. You mentioned it briefly. Be rejuvenated, be ageless, be positive. Let's talk a little bit more about your line. You call it Positive Skincare for Healing. Tell us a little bit more about how they're made, what they are, what people can expect.
Sure. So I am the queen, if you will, of sea buckthorn. I love sea buckthorn. Sea buckthorn is a berry that has more antioxidants and vitamin A than both the goji and the acai berry, and 15 times the amount of vitamin C as an orange. So when looking at my product line, you'll notice I have a lot of things that are yellow, including my lotion, and it's not mustard, it's the sea buckthorn. So what sea buckthorn does, it actually absorbs the UVB sun rays. It helps to diminish hyperpigmentation, so it's perfect for age spots. It's mostly known in Eastern Europe for healing radiation. Remember the nuclear disaster at Chernobyl decades ago? They used sea buckthorn on those radiation victims. In Russia, the cosmonauts use sea buckthorn when they re-enter the Earth's atmosphere so they don't get radiation burns. So I put sea buckthorn in a lot of my products, a serum for anti-aging, my face moisturizers, my sunburn lotion with aloe vera. So we're using plant-based botanicals to offer healing and also to provide sun protection, which the FDA does not agree with. They only want active ingredients that are chemicals to provide that protection, but we've seen it time and time again, how it offers the natural SPF and how that works. So we use, that's just one example of one of the ingredients I use in my products.
And your cream, I have to say, I do have your cream also, and it is so incredibly thick. You can't turn it over, nothing runs out. You literally have to scoop your finger in there and take it out. No, it's true. It's just so incredibly beautiful. So these are products that are all natural. They are using nature's botanicals, and they run from all kinds of skincare. We know that you have face. We know you, are there different types of groups, and are they for different ages?
Yes. So it's funny. Really, I make everything for me because I'm so sensitive and I have everything. I have skin cancer, I have acne, I have rosacea, I have eczema. So I have kind of three areas, if you will. One is acne. So I have a whole line for acne, including body acne. So everybody gets that. It's not just teenagers. Then I have another line for anti-aging, which also cross-references with acne because just because we're older and maybe reaching menopause doesn't mean we still don't get pimples and acne. So those two go hand in hand, although there are different formulas for each one of those. And then I work on all the body healing like eczema and psoriasis and stretch marks and skin tags, etc.
Ooh, I didn't know you covered all those. I won't say because that's personal which one just got my attention, but I'm going to be definitely checking out your website. Ampi, tell everyone your website and any other contact information or anything you want them to know and your final piece of wisdom. You've shared so much.
Oh, sure.
What anything you'd like to leave people with?
Okay, so the website is antbebotanicals.com, AUNTBE, like let it be, not be like a buzzing bee, and then botanicals. You can also call me at 760-212-3504, and my contact information is also on my website. And really, I just, want to thank you so much, Patricia, for inviting me onto your podcast and letting me, reach your audience and letting them know about great therapeutic ingredients and really to help them find the gratitude within their daily lives so that they can be the possibly best person they can and come from their heart and their passion. Oh,
you're so welcome. And I'm going to say, Ampi, I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for this conversation. And 3 in the morning, the next 3 in the morning wake-up call I get, I'm going to be giving a shout-out to you for sure. So
thank you.
I appreciate it.
Well, hopefully you'll turn on the light and write down some gratitude statements, too.
As I turn on the light and writing down gratitude statements, I'll be doing a shout-out. So, absolutely. No, I think you, in so many ways, I believe you've helped so many people today. You're just showing up with the authenticity of your story, with the courage that you have to make such a tremendous change in your life, and what you shared about how to, tangible steps in how to deal with the fear that holds so many of us back. So, thank you, Ampi. Yeah, in addition to your amazing botanicals. I encourage everyone to check out your website. And thank you so much for joining us, listeners. I also encourage you to subscribe to our Sacred Stories feed on iTunes and Stitcher, and like and comment to help spread the word. And join us next time as our guests continue to courageously share their sacred stories and the wisdom that they have gained in service to you and to help raise the vibration of our greater consciousness.